All right, we are live here at cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester. Welcome to the inaugural show of the wonderful world of Rich Blye. Before we get started, put that flyer back up there, baby. Put that flyer back up there. Let's give the community something to look forward to real quick. As usual, it's a blessing to be able to talk to all of my neighbors. But before we get started, I just want to say there is a free community and voter education day on Saturday, October 26th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. There'll be a DJ, in-person voting, games, food and drinks. This will be held at the Laborers Local 413 Union Hall at 222 Penn Street, Chester, PA 19103. Free groceries, free giveaways. Upon checking your voter registration status, which should have been taken care of yesterday, if you did not register to vote, you are not registered to vote. RSVP through the Q card symbol that you see there. Avoid the lines. Shuttles will be available to the satellite election office for in-person voting. Please call telephone number 484-734-0437 to be picked up to vote in person on October 26th. I believe that this is pretty good for those who wish to vote early to avoid the excessive lines. Get your vote in for your desired and elected candidate. It's going to be a good look this election. It's time for people to make some definite changes and do some things really, really well. So, as we proceed, again,
they give you what you need. Okay.
Here she goes. See, I can't even start something. Hold on. There we go. Okay. I can't even start something without having to have the number 7 next to me. So without further ado, welcome to the wonderful, wonderful world of Rich Blye. This will be a weekly podcast starting at 7 p.m., running until whenever I feel like stop talking. And let me introduce you to the seventh kid, Tanesha, Scorpio Queen, Roberts. Give it up for everybody. Give it up, everybody. Give it up, everybody. All right.
Wait, you're not going to let me introduce myself?
Yeah, go ahead. Say something to the people.
Hi, everybody. As he said, I am Tanesha, a.k.a. Niche Money, a.k.a. Scorpio Queen. And yes, I am number 7, lucky number 7. You know, very blessed and highly favored. Amen.
So, as you can see, I wanted to make sure that I brought something a little bit more colorful for today. We're kind of like matching in our attire between the blues and the deep blues and the royal blues and
that wasn't planned.
No, absolutely it was not.
We did not talk
planned.
about that.
That's just something that's always been part of our little psychic connection.
Yeah.
So let's get started. This is the inaugural program on cmpradio.net. This is hosted by CMP Bryce and the wonderful staff that's up here that does the, morning minutes and the morning moments and puts you in touch with everything that's going on Chester. So for my inaugural segment, I decided
shout out to CMP.
And I decided that we would call the first podcast that we're doing together The Parent Trap.
Yes.
Okay? The Parent Trap. Now, for those who are in my generation and older, we all know Patty Duke and we all know The Parent Trap. From that, we know Freaky Friday, which was a spinoff that Disney did, and then they did a remake of The Parent Trap with who was
that Lindsay Lohan?
Lindsay Lohan, absolutely. And we decided to use this segment to look at the differences in parenting styles and realizing, is parenting a trap? In this day and age, how hard is it for parents to navigate certain things that, say, for my generation and older, are able to navigate with, say, a relative ease. So let's get started with your very first question, or the difference in parenting and what you see with how I raised you and how you're raising kids.
So, okay, to put in perspective, right? I remember a lot of the parenting structure and styles that I was raised under, and it was certain dynamics that I absolutely wanted to change. Some I just felt like, you know what? Hey, I'm not going to do this with my kid. And I feel like a lot of, from my generation, that's the same sentiments that we all felt, was just like, we don't want to continue on, certain ideals or certain.
Like what? Like what? Like for example, like what? Corporal punishment?
So, okay, here's the thing.
Let's get right to it.
Okay, all right, okay, you want to do this? Okay, all right, listen, here's the thing,
hold on, excuse me. I say corporal punishment, but for everybody that is 50 and over, I'm going to say ass whoopings. And you know what we talking about.
I am 33. Absolutely, I got ass whoopings. Mm-hmm. Okay? Like, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but
in today's society,
at the parenting, same time, I also know, I had two parents with two different discipline styles. So while I can sympathize and understand with certain people of my generation, certain parents of my generation wanting to change the dynamic of that, because absolutely, what you did was absolutely warranted, right? Like, I was acting a fool, or I think I had stole something or whatever. I think that was the beating I got. Okay, so all right, let me just put this in perspective. My dad didn't beat me. Like, I think I maybe had like 2 to 3 beatings in my whole entire life.
I wouldn't even call them beatings.
I wouldn't even. Yeah, I got like a spanking. Okay, like that's what we're going to say. I got spanked. All right. But on the other side, of that parenting, I didn't use any weapons. No. Right. But the other side of that parenting absolutely pushed the envelope. Right. And when it comes to that, I can understand why a lot of my generation is like, no, I'm not doing that to my child. Absolutely. And I think the problem that comes in, and I'm going to just take it a little personal for a moment, because this is how I feel. Maybe there are others out there that can relate. When you get in that moment, right, when you're kind of stuck, like, okay, do I discipline? Do I beat my child? Right. I think it's a thing that happens with us is like, okay, I want to discipline you because what you did was wrong. I'm not disciplining you out of anger. We have this whole conversation in our head of, okay, making sure we don't go overboard, making sure that we're still in the lines of, I am disciplining you for what you did, not because I'm angry and I'm just taking the anger out on you.
You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like you're doing a whole lot of talking, and we should just get right to the action. You did what you did, so you got to get the consequence of what you did.
Right, the consequences. Yeah, consequences is one thing. Abuse.
No. See, it's not. See, again,
two different things.
Here we go. Again, all right. Let me turn this around real quick. Okay. Discipline is not abuse.
That's absolutely. That's not what I'm saying.
No. See, here's the trap.
I clearly state. That's why I cleared it up in the beginning. You did not abuse me.
Okay.
Right. So when I'm talking about when I say I can absolutely sympathize, but like I said, I can sympathize with and understand that way of thinking of, I don't want to do this to my child, because I see in the long run I hear a lot of people, and sometimes I say it for myself, the beating didn't do anything. I still was doing whatever the case may be. Now, mind you, yes, it absolutely put fear in my heart and said, hell no, I'm not crossing my father.
Right. So let's segue into that. Okay. So, we discussed corporal punishment. Where does the healthy dose of fear, and I don't say like, afraid, trembling, I can't speak to you type of fear, but in our generation, the last thing that we would want is for somebody to call our parent.
Oh, absolutely.
Like seriously, listen, I would rather you have called my dad than my mom, because you call my mom, I already knew what it was hitting for. I already knew that I was going to get it. I knew that I was getting spanked. I knew that I knew that was going to happen. With my dad, I had a 50-50 chance of maybe talking it out, but with my mom, it was definitely happening. Nowadays, we see a lot of children that are kind of missing that kind of discipline. Why do you think that, besides people saying, oh, it's the law, because no, if you know your rights, you can discipline your child. Why do you think that today's parenting has gotten away from going to, for that type of extreme to handle your child and correct your child and not spare the rod, so to speak, without being religious or biblical?
So, first of all, I'm not against behind whoopings. That's number one. I absolutely feel like it is still needed.
She's being respectful because I'm right here, because if anybody else, she would have said ass.
But I will say that once again, it kind of just goes back into what I said before. It is a difference. And, a lot of times I've seen parents where they'll go for a long period of time and not discipline the child, and then something extreme happens, and then it's like, oh, now you're disciplining them, but they're not used to that. So, I feel like a lot of people have gotten away from the physical discipline of it, and I feel like it has caused the issue. I mean, living in Strawberry Mansion, I see it. I absolutely believe that, a couple of the kids could absolutely benefit from getting,
this is something not just over. I mean, it's Chester, it's Upper Darby, it's Glen Olden, it's Collingdale.
You see it all over. It's on the news.
It's United States of America.
You know what I mean? And it's a city of lawlessness right now with the kids. And but I also feel like where some of the government-run facilities or government-run programs where they felt like they were coming in to help, they kind of put restraints on parents of my generation now. There's technically, if I was to get my son or any child, right? Mental health, 302, 201, whatever, because if they're over the age of 14 and they can consent to care, if they don't want to consent to care, they can be released. So what do you do for my family and I? What do you now put in effect and now, what are you telling my child? That even if my parent is doing this, they can't tell me what to do? And they're in part kind of true. They're kind of right, because I can send you here and I can get you help and everything like that if it comes to that extreme. But if you're saying, hey, I don't consent to this, only at the age of 14, 15 years old, you can walk out or you can be released, but yet they can't go into the bars and they can't buy alcohol and they can't legally, buy a firearm and also, but we're leaving their mental health up to them as a decision.
Now, again, so we're talking about the parent trap, how
But that is a trap.
Yes.
You tell the parent that you can get your child help if you need it. But because they're 14 years old.
And this is where I say that it's a parent trap, because in our generation, we got explained how the mental health system works. And unfortunately, I think that in your generation, through some parents that had to treat their kids for ADHD or some type of behavioral problem, they started relying on the pharmaceutical companies to raise their kids, along with social media, because during this time,
don't get me started.
During this time, and we can see this with the influx of a lot of the youth that are out here that are, out in the streets that are on drugs now, comes from, to me, and this is my opinion, I'm not an expert, where we have allowed the government to supersede the morality of what a wholesome family unit should be, or what looks like, with all of its flaws. You know what I'm saying? So why would you say that your generation embraces government sanctioned programs as opposed to building your own community resource programs.
I don't
like
even
a
think
lot of
I don't think my
ethnic
generation
groups.
even embraces it, honestly. Like, so I kind of saw it happen over time. I feel like when I was younger, it wasn't really a lot of mental health resources, and then all of a sudden they just started rolling out all of these. We have this program over here that's going to help you. This program over here that's going to help you. And I hear it from people my age that say like, well, I didn't get none of that when I was younger. So,
Right.
I don't need no, or they don't need that. My kid happy, all that stuff like that. But then they're lashing out. And then you have the other side that's like, I didn't have that and I needed it.
Right.
Let me get my kid. And I feel like maybe there's kind of a disconnect because it's something that's still kind of new to us. Y'all, I feel like the older generation, yes, y'all absolutely research and go back like, well, hold up, what is this y'all talking about? Because yes, y'all have been around, y'all have seen them roll out different stuff and you know what I mean? So I think
different types of misinformation.
Yeah. You know, and of course, because I have you in my life, of course I look at things where as though if it was a situation, me walking into it, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're saying that they can do this, but then you come in like, hold on, wait a minute, but did you see what they said here? And then it does make me look at it again. And then I can then have a say-so in the care or type of treatment I want for, myself or my child.
Right.
Whereas though before I might have just went in blindly like, okay, yeah, whatever you said, whatever, you were going to go with that, right? Because we don't know.
So to avoid this trap, it's kind of best to seek the guidance of people who have, say, experienced this before, as opposed to, saying, hey, you're not the expert.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, of course, none of us are experts. You know what I mean? Even somebody that's studied and got a degree has to keep learning every day.
Right.
Because different symptoms and different, cases present themselves. So, in this regard, we all are on a learning curve. But I think that whereas from the past, we're more open to saying, hey, listen, see everything for what it is and just don't go blindly down a path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as that. So, all right, let's get to the next thing about, this little parent trap thing. Because my daughter and I, we have these conversations. And it could be, a ride somewhere. It could just be chilling out on the porch. It could be like 4:00 in the morning. Hey, Dad, are you up? Yeah, I'm up. What do you think about blah, 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 whatever? So the parent trap. Let's get to the next one.
All right. So do you think that job opportunities have damaged like families from my generation as far as actually being able to provide for a family without necessarily spending as much time away from your family?
I think that I think that what has happened is our generation had to do more with less. I think that your generation got more and did less.
I can understand
that. And that's not a knock. It's just that our generation was pushed to inspire, shoot for the stars. Like, that was the catchphrase of our time. Shoot for the stars. We were pushed to go out to do and make this world better, like just overall, not for any reason, not for any group, just be something that was a benefit to mankind. I think that what we see today is that a lot of people just want to be entertainers. I think that we see that in this generation that we've given into sports stardom. We've given into the whole dance craze a little bit excessively. Not to knock anything with that or whatever, but you know what I mean. Everybody's doing the TikTok.
Don't knock
video.
the dancers. I'm not talking about TikTok dancers. Just veer off real quick with me, okay?
Yeah.
Real dancers.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm
not TikTokers.
I'm not talking about somebody that just comes up with a few steps for 30 seconds and gets like 1 million likes. You know what I mean? Because it was edited. But I understand that people get paid off of this. But if you look at the dynamics of everyone socially across the world, if you look at the World Quilt, where do you see our youth, black children, your children's age? Where do you see them as new innovators coming into what they're going to experience a new century of being on the platform of those creating and building? Where do you see that overall from your viewpoint as a parent?
Honestly, like creatively, I feel like everybody wants to be like everybody else. What is creativity, man?
Everybody want to wear black. Everybody want to wear New Balances.
Like
everybody want to have a hoodie on.
I mean, like
I want to ask. No, hold on, wait a minute. I want to ask these new age parents, why are y'all letting y'all kids run outside looking like bank robbers?
Okay, no, I too. No, listen. I too have the same question because I noticed it's different areas of the city that like the uniform seems to be like white tees, and then like the other part of the city is like black tees, and then it's like everybody's walking around looking like ninjas and Power Rangers, and I'm just trying to understand what happened to wanting to be your authentic self. I understand that, and I say this even all the time too, even with myself. I have different sides to myself, right? But I was one of those parents that I encouraged my kids to go outside in full costume, not in October, okay? Because, once again, when we talk about the parenting dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I never got a chance to do any of those things, right? So when my kids used to come up and be like, Mom, I want to wear the Spider-Man costume. We're just going to the supermarket. Okay, sure. Put the costume on, right? Because
in my generation, we'd be like, if you don't take that damn costume off and put that back in the closet before we go to the store, you ain't going to embarrass me. You ain't going to embarrass me walking around in no damn Spider-Man costume in August. Get that hot shit off of you. Like, do you not understand that dynamic that we come from? That we see kids walking around in their pajamas, and going to school in their pajamas. And this is the trap. This is what I'm saying. So do you guys does this generation feel trapped into parenthood? Because I gotta ask the question.
Okay. So here's it. I'm not going to shit on my whole generation, right? Because I know a very good fair amount of parents. Shout out to my good parents. No,
I know a lot of good parents. Listen, I know a lot of listen.
Yeah,
I know a lot of great parents.
Right, I just don't want nobody to think that we like shitting on my generation. No,
right? Listen. I know some. I know some parents. I know some parents my age that should have never had kids.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm very serious. Okay, so I know some parents out there that are my age that like growing up. My thing about me, folks, is that if you didn't take care of your kids or you didn't have a life with your kids, you couldn't associate with me. I was just that type of person, and I taught that to my kids.
But I think that's the difference also with my generation. I think my generation, I've seen so many people don't hold their friends or family like accountable for not being present or not doing for their child. I understand relationships kind of fall apart and stuff like that, but to not have a dynamic of you being, you know what, I'm not going to go see my child because he or she is doing all of this, or they make excuses as to why they can't be there. Nobody holds them accountable. I don't see it. Now, if it is true, I haven't seen it. Like I said,
I can attest to this, is that our generation wasn't exempt from not holding certain men accountable, but there was a larger select group of men that really didn't go for that. You know what I mean? Like, because we did stuff with our kids so much, yet you want to hang with us, you want to drink and parlay and everything like that. And it was like, yo, don't you got like 2 or 3 kids? You know what's going on? And it was the same excuse. Oh, the baby mama. No, it's you, bro, because you drinking too much or you doing too much.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the dynamic again. Accountability. Yeah. You know, we bring that up a lot. Do people understand what the definition of accountability really is? I mean, like,
I hear my generation say it so much, but I don't think nobody really, truly holds that to themselves.
Because I mean, and this is just my opinion. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but integrity and accountability go hand in hand. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a parent, that integrity of bringing a life onto this planet and raising a child that should surpass you. If that doesn't happen, who are we to blame? Are we to blame school, society? I mean, you know, what are we supposed to do?
So, okay. I don't want to take the blame off. I feel like absolutely as a parent, you know, you're supposed to be held accountable for, you know, the outcome.
You hear that, parents? You're supposed to be.
You're supposed to be. I do believe it.
You're supposed to be. You're supposed to be accountable.
I do, because it does start at home, right? It starts at home. The groundwork of everything that this little person is going to even perceive, or the mentality or their thought process when they go out in the world, starts at home. So if certain morals or certain, you know, beliefs, and I'm not talking, you know, not just talking religious, I'm just talking about family beliefs, you know, community beliefs, you know, how do you, I grew up, my dad always had 3 rules, right? It was always the 3 main rules that I was to live by, right?
Yeah, 3 rules.
Be a good citizen, go to school, get good grades. What was the last one?
The last one? Don't have any contact with the police.
Well, that was interchangeable, okay?
No.
Because the other part was you were supposed to be productive to your community.
Absolutely.
You were supposed to be a addition to the community, not a nuisance to the community.
Absolutely.
Right? So I understand when I say that with knowing my own troubles with raising a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 5-year-old, is the world has absolutely changed my 16-year-old. And I see it. Social media is
damaging.
It's
say it.
literally
say it. Damaging.
It is. It's damaging. There's enough. I honestly can't even like it. The fact that yes, it started out once as a tool, but it is a tool of destruction.
Yes, damaging.
It is a tool of destruction because I've seen it literally rewire everything in his head. And people talk about, oh, you just okay. Well, limit them, right? Yeah. So I limit him at home. I limit my kids at home, but then they can go to school, social media. They're with their friends, social media. Watch TV, social media. Everywhere you go now is about being glued to either a phone, some type of device, knowing everything that's going on, you know, as far as gossip, topics, stuff like that. And if they're not a part of it, they feel as though, well, you're taking away my life.
Isn't this actually a symptom now?
I absolutely feel like, so these kids are addicted to social media. Like, I literally went through a phase where my 13-year-old would cry hysterically if they did not have access to their social media. And it was very concerning because I'm like, okay, like, really, it's not even about nothing else. You're just really breaking down over social media, not being able to scroll and see. And it's not just the kids, because as parents.
So you mean full out crying, just
crying hysterically. Please don't do it. Don't do it, please. No, don't do it. Yes.
Listen, that's my grandkids. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Full on, you know, I was just like, oh my gosh, like if people hear this, they would think like, what do they think I'm about to do to you? You know, and I'm just taking your phone to guide you away from social media. And I think a lot of the parents, and I also am guilty of this too, is we'll tell our kids, well, you're on social media too much. You're always on your phone, taking your phone. And then we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, doing the same exact thing.
So again, like in a lot of families, in the family dynamic that we grew up in, we didn't have social media like that, but we had television. Okay. Yeah. And then we had the invention of cable. And we had the cable box, and we had the illegal cable hookup dude, you know, back in the day.
The little black box.
You know, $40 for the Tyson fight, you know what I mean, before they shot the bullet through, you know what I'm saying? So like what my mom did with social media for our time, which was television, she would actually highlight the shows that we could watch.
Yeah.
You know, and you didn't dare turn the TV past what she said. Like, for instance, like with my sister, shout out to my only blood sister, Tanya, and why I hate the Sound of Music. Sound of Music usually will come on sometime around NBA playoffs. You know, and this is the time, you know, when Dr. J was rolling, Charles Barkley and all the boys and everything like that. And for some odd reason, I guess CBS at the time would like to put, you know, the Sound of Music on, you know, with no commercials. And it was 3 hours.
Oh, my God.
So everything got blacked out on that day with a black magic marker, and it was a yellow highlighter of Sound of Music. So, you know, with my brothers and sisters in the house, you know, it was, you know, we were a blended family, so it was 7 of us. We had to sit there and endure this, and we dared not touch it. Nowadays, you got to put blocks. You got to say, "Give me your phone," to go through your browser. You got. Who said that?
Played outside.
Oh yeah. Like shout out to everybody that's on my feed. Listen, cmpradio.net. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m., tune in. I'm going to be looking for topics and subject matters. I'm going to have some guests come through. You're going to be surprised at the amount of content that we're going to fill in on a Tuesday. Because I'm tired of just hearing the okie doke news of what's going on over here. We want to talk about what's going on locally here in Chester. We want to talk about what's going on all around Delco for that matter. We're going to get to that. But today's episode is the Parent Trap because, again, I need to showcase the very talented Tanesha Monique Roberts, my daughter. I'm going to segue into a story about her real quick. About this kid. Yeah, you know I had to do it. So talk about how you got your love of entertaining and dancing. So just I'm gonna let you do that.
We're gonna go there.
What you mean don't go there? Talk about it.
Oh God. Okay. So, you know, I feel like I was just born to be a free spirit, you know. That's just the way things are. But my dad, I think I was 5. I had to have been 5.
No, I'm telling you.
I remember it too well. Unless my memory is really that good at 3. But okay.
I'm telling you. You were still in a diaper.
They used to have these old things like
it was called Super Sunday before it was called Unity Day.
Yeah, before it was called Unity Day.
Before it got taken over by the Made in America Festival.
Yeah. That we don't have anymore,
which is absolute trash. It took something that was great.
I don't even think we have that anymore now.
Well, they canceled it, so to speak, and they canceled it again. And I'm gonna tell you like this: I understand that it brings money and it brings attention and it brings this and it brings that, but it brought a whole lot more mess than it was worth.
Yeah.
You know, because people just don't know how to act again, and with their kids
Things
out
have
here,
changed.
Unsupervised kids running around doing stuff, recklessness, property damage. You know, like entertainment is fine, But go ahead. Let's just continue to talk about you.
So my dad had put me on the stage at a young age. It was like a dance choreographer. She was up there. I remember she had all these adults like she taught them. She walked them through like a few, like it was like a 3 to 4 count little thing that she was teaching them. And I remember like just feeling like they're not doing it right, or they're just all over the place. And I wanted to do it so bad. And my dad did put me up there. And I remember that I kind of just like felt the music and did my own thing. And I didn't even really like think about the amount of people that was out there at the time. But I was like, thinking about it when I got older, I'm just like, holy shit, that was like my first performance in front of like thousands of people. But I remember just loving that feeling, not necessarily the attention. It was never about that. It was more so just
the exhilaration of the dance.
Freeing. Like it felt very freeing, just being able to dance, and dance has always since then kind of like.
So from my parenting moment, to seeing that you could dance, to your adulthood now, and what do you do now? Come on, Scorpio Queen, don't be shy.
I teach. Because, Dad, you're like right here. Okay. So, anyway, guys, I teach.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. She's talking about I'm right here. I'm the person that drives her to all of her events. I know where you're going. I know where you're going. I know what you're doing. I don't go in.
My dad has been hit on by some of these ladies at these events.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Hey, jump in, listen, bro. I'm telling you, man.
Listen, y'all young whippersnappers, stay away from my daddy.
I don't get out the car,
all right,
bro.
Stay away from my pappy. Okay.
I don't get out the car.
Yeah.
No.
We learned that lesson, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't get out the car.
But
it's starving, bro.
I teach sensual, contemporary, and twerk classes for ladies 18 and up. There's not an age limit after that, but 18 and up. I do host them at the American Legion Post 214 in Upper Darby. And then I also work with a lovely, lovely twin Scorpio flame, Deanna. She is the owner of Twerk and Wine. Shout out to Deanna. And in teaching that, I teach women basically to embrace themselves, to not feel confined just because your body isn't built like a Tiana Taylor, or anything like that. You are uniquely made. And just because you may not be able to move as fluidly as the person next to you, hey, you come to a couple of my classes, you just might be moving that way. So, it's practice makes perfect. But not only that, I just teach body positivity and just embracing yourself. So many times I feel like a lot of women that I hear of my generation, and I don't know, I'm just putting it out there, I do feel like part of that is, I don't know if it was about a lack of being told in their childhood that they were enough. But I hear a lot of women tell their man, like, oh, you don't make me feel wanted. Or you don't make me feel.
So when you're teaching these classes, you're having conversations, and these conversations are coming out about how they express themselves as women, and most of them, for a good part of them, are parents.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and this is a great release for them to get away from the kids for like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, we have events. Sometimes we'll do a 4-hour event. You come out, you eat, you can drink. We do warm-ups. I show you different techniques, stretching techniques and stuff like that. It's not just wham, bam, get in there, shake it. I don't want you to do just that, because I want you to get used to the feel of your body, because you may not have known that your hip can rotate that way, because you never took the time to even do it, because you've already put the notion of,
unless you had hip replacement surgery.
Well, and in that case, you got to let me know before we start, okay?
Right.
But I do feel like just from that moment when I was 3 up until about to be 33, is just absolutely shaped my love of dance and wanting to continue on that path. But I feel like it's opened the door also for me to be like, okay, well, if I can express myself creatively through dance, then I can express myself creatively through writing, spoken word.
All of the artistic skills come out, right?
Yeah. Painting,
painting.
So
and there's always classes for that.
Yeah.
So
fostering a healthy support in your children at a young age is very important.
And I want to segue into that, folks. Let me turn this around real quick for the folks. They're here at the station is this big, beautiful. I wish that all of you could just walk in here and see what this place has to offer here at the station, where art just pops out at you at every turn.
Yeah. So as you say that, right? I did when I first came in. I just want to say this. I first came in, the art on the walls. I stopped for a moment. I know my dad said we were on the schedule and he wanted me to hurry up and get my ass in here. But when I leave, I definitely want to take a moment to just look at the art on the walls. And I just love the setup for the live podcasting session. I love that. Yeah.
There's a lot we're going to do. So let's get to the next part of this parent track.
So,
come on now.
I want to say, okay.
Is this for me?
I'm gonna ask you this question, right? Boy. Because I know I was in childcare when I was younger.
Who put you in childcare?
Not you, obviously.
Okay.
But do you trust the childcare of today?
Never.
Okay, so
never.
Okay, so once again, so that time I bring that up because I want to say that absolutely has.
I'm not going to say for everyone, because there are a lot of good places that can handle their volume. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that it's a necessity with working moms and working dads, because there's a lot of single dads out here.
Shout out to the single dads, yo. Shout out to the single dads. Y'all be doing y'all thing, and y'all don't get appreciated enough. So I definitely want to say that. I know a lot of, not even single dads too, you know what I mean? Like dads that really just took that initiative to just like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm not waiting on mom, not waiting on my wife, my girlfriend, baby mom, whatever. They just do it. So shout out to y'all.
I just like for me, when it came to my kids, I always like this. We had that community spirit. Like somebody in the family watched you. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody in the family watched you. Whether it was a big brother, big sister, a cousin, something like that or whatever. And, all of us in our age group were around the same age, and there was always one big uncle or something like that. So as long as you was outside with an earshot and nobody came home bleeding, pretty much that was the child care of our age. I'm dead serious. No, listen. You knew the rules. You knew when the light came on, that you knew when the street lights came on, that you was on the block.
Yeah.
Okay. You knew when your porch light came on, you was in front of the house. That was childcare for us, because these rules were set in stone. You didn't deviate from that. You know what I mean? Like when you were a child, an infant, a baby, like we see a lot of toddlers just hitting the street. A lot of toddlers, being unsupervised, walking around and being lost. That was, that's insane how much it happens now. But if it was during like our time, it was a gaps through the entire community. Like, you were a pariah. How dare you not watch your child?
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh.
Like seriously.
Yeah, I can't even.
Stoned.
When I say the amount of kids that like, and just in my general area that ends up coming up on like Philly no gun zone and stuff like that of, wandering 3-year-old found outside.
Or Delco shootings up here in the Chester area, you know what I mean? Yeah, you got the same thing.
5-year-old found wandering outside, no clothes or just a diaper on, in freezing cold or in extreme heat. And I get it, certain situations, you're tired and you fall asleep and hey, that kid may just wake up. I have an eloper, so I get it, but
Well, she's a genius.
Evil genius.
She's a genius.
I'm raising the evil genius, guys. just be on the lookout. But also at the same time, it falls once again taking that accountability and responsibility for having a child.
So being more proactive rather than reactive.
It actually absolutely. Oh, hey, just because, let's just say, even if my youngest wasn't an eloper, right?
Right.
I know I have a young toddler in the house.
Right.
Common sense would tell me, hey, at some point they learn how to unlock doors. The same way they tell you to buy socket protectors and hey, they got those. I hate these, but the toilet seat covers that you can't unlock as an adult when you really have to go to the bathroom. Those, they have all of those things. And then they also sell at the value stores and dollar stores and hardware stores these little locks.
But why do you think we came into that? Because I can tell you right now, like, we never thought about having, like, now with the sockets, I can understand that because we grew up watching people put metal stuff inside the sockets. Growing up as a kid, we watched people touch the stove and everything like that. I understand the overall safety now.
Yeah.
But understand, I come from a generation that didn't have seatbelts in the car. Okay? That's the generation that I come from. So, danger was ever present. Danger. You know what I mean? It was just part of us growing up. But I think that our generation understood the risk and we understood the consequences of not following directions of our parents. So we didn't hit as many traps as this generation of kids do now because it seems like they don't heed the advice. Like, hey, this happened to me, and this happened to several people that I know. This can and will happen to you.
Right.
A
lot of what I've noticed is now more so of a, well, you'll learn once you go through it, or they'll figure it out if they burn themselves, or does it. And it's like, why are we?
Experience is the best teacher. I hate that saying. I really do. I really hate that saying. I really do.
I'm partial to it, right? Because with the older two, of course, hey, you were told not to do something, you may have got your hand popped or whatever. Hey, don't touch that. That's hot. It's going to burn you. Of course, the oldest learned that, the hard way. Always learning things the hard way. Touch that stove. Still, after I said don't touch it, 3 fingers blistered up for a week. He'd never touch that stove again. The middle one told her, hey, don't touch the stove. She didn't touch that stove. Has never burnt herself on the stove. The youngest one, hey, don't touch that stove. I'm going to touch that shit anyway. What are you talking about? And proceeds to go touch it. Oh, wow, that's hot.
But
I'll give it a day.
Hold on a second.
Dynamics.
But I want to say this. Like, I get the kids, and I'm talking about all my grandkids.
Because you're a pop-pop.
No, I want to hear that.
No. Before we even get into this, no. You're a pop-pop. It is an absolute difference. Total difference.
What you mean? They're your kids.
All of the kids. I know, and that's why I'm calling the sham out for what it is. It's the immediate switch up of personality and or attitude is just like
mind-boggling. You mean,
so I might as well just have Pop just like come stay with us. Yeah, he might as well just come stay here all day until bedtime, and just have business hours of being here, because I need a board of directors or something at this point. I need I need somebody to kind of dictate, like, hey, all right, am I crazy? Am I, is this okay? Oh, push the envelope. Okay, all right, because and that's why I do call you a lot, and to be clear on things, I absolutely call my dad about almost every parenting decision I make, and it's sometimes even after I'm like, what? No, I'm gonna just do what I said I was going to do, because that's what I want to do, and I know what I want to do, and I'll sit there and I'll mull over it for a bit, and it's like, let me call him. I'm gonna ask him what does he say? What did he, Dad, how do you feel about, and I do that because not necessarily saying that I'm unsure about everything. I just need, sometimes I just want to make sure that is the right decision. You know what I mean? Like, hey, does this sound crazy?
I think that what a lot of young parents should do versus what they don't do is that they should look at our experience in a certain perspective that we've been here.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it exactly the way that we did it, but you should take something from that will work the way that you need it to work. Because I'm gonna put it like this. Our style of discipline was from scratch. You guys' type of discipline is from instant. Just add water. You know what I mean? Ours had to be like a culmination of things, a buildup of things, a certain amount of disciplines, physical disciplines, handwriting assignments, all the stuff that I used to do to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it had results. It had achievable results. You learned from it. Your hand cramped up. You didn't want to have that feeling no more. Yeah. You know that whole stand up and hold books, holding a whole inside.
Oh, listen. No, I absolutely carried those discipline tactics into my parenting. Absolutely. Like I said, it's a difference between the parents that actually.
This is why Encyclopedia Britannicas still need to be made.
Oh my God. Okay. When I say my arms was built like Tina Turner's, just from holding books. All right, I'm just saying. If you don't
want to read them, you're gonna hold them. That's my motto.
I absolutely believe that there are certain things that we can take from the last generation because everything wasn't bad. I absolutely feel like the respect factor for the parents of my generation is not there. There are some who find a good balance with their kids, and kudos to them. You know, I have a couple of friends that I know for a fact they don't really have to discipline their kids for them to do what they're supposed to do, right? Right. But then, you know, you have some that wants to be rebels and they want to go buck against the grain. And for those and those instances, it needs to be some type of consequence. It has to be, because all we're doing is basically telling our kids now is just like, it's fine, it's okay, you can do that, and they're probably gonna give you a slap on the wrist. But now, because society, government, they're getting tired of it. It's literally.
But hold on, you're saying society and government are tired of it, but they've interjected themselves into the family dynamic. They
have, and that's why. Let me explain, right?
So wait a minute. So how you gonna get tired of a problem you helped create?
That's why when we talked about this whole the programs of the mental health, they're throwing these things out to say, hey, not necessarily saying it, but we know what they're saying. Hey, you messed up. Right. Now you're going to try to throw things at us. Here we go.
Hold on. Not you messed up. You were led a certain way.
No, I'm saying like as far as like with society, right? Because y'all told us initially you took away the rights of parents, certain rights to parents of you can't do this to your child. You can't do that. But then it's like, well, you're not helping me raise them. You're not helping me. And I'm not talking about being on government assistance, right? I'm actually talking about, hey, my child needs emotional or some type of mental help.
Well, you got some parents out there that just want the check.
I can't speak on them because
I mean, like we know,
and we know they exist. I know they exist.
Yeah.
We know they exist.
We know they exist. I've had people tell me.
You know, my thing is, you know, what exactly are we trying to see happen, right? Are we going to actually? This is why I think it's important to have the older generation still be a part of and have a say.
So do you understand that when we talk about parenting, like I have a more conservative type of approach to parenting. I don't believe in spankings unless it's absolutely like
necessary.
Like you really got
absolutely
you
necessary.
You got to take me all the way there in order for me to say, hey, I'm gonna pop you or whatever. I tell the kids I'm gonna give you black eyes all day, and don't mean it.
Yeah, so much so that the little one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the little one loves for Pop to come over. I'm saying this real quick.
Right.
The 5-year-old loves for Pop to come over and say, I'm gonna give you a black eye. And she then proceeds to push her face forward so he can give her a black eye.
But here's the thing.
But it's all jokes. All jokes.
But here's the thing. Like, she knows that if I say, hey, you're doing something wrong, you're doing something disruptive, and that's not your behavior.
Yeah, we saw that when she had to get corrected for the behavior at school.
For the behavior at school. Like, she was told, Alea is neurodivergent for all of those out there. She had a biting episode.
No, this was the pushing episode.
Oh, the pushing. No, well, we took care of the biting. That's right. The pushing episode, and it's not just a push or a tap.
Yeah, it's a full on.
It's a full on back up against
Eagles
the wall,
linebacker. You ain't getting across this line. Push.
Tackle, push. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to put that out there.
And the school called and everything like that. So, mom, dad, myself, we kind of got like a triangle around her. Mm-hmm. And she tried to do the same thing to us, and we corrected the situation. And then she tried to go and get sympathy from dad, and dad said no. She tried to go to mom, and mom said no. And then she came to Pop, and Pop said no. So her 3 giants, so to speak, all said no. Mm-hmm. And then the next day it translated back at the school. Mm-hmm. So when I say this is that if a neurodivergent 5-year-old can get it, what's going on with our normals? Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm. And this is my point about, is parenting a trap for certain parents nowadays? Because of the simple fact is that the effectiveness of your parenting is reflected in the behavior of your child. Yeah. So and don't get me wrong, because listen, I lost 2 sons, and trust me, they gave me hell. They gave me hell. I went through. Listen, I know. I keep trying to tell people I'm not perfect. I'm flawed. I had the same issues that you have, and I've been to court. I've been to PO officers. I've run the whole gamut, folks. There's nothing different about me and a regular person out here dealing with the same situation. But I think a lot of times is that we don't really talk seriously about the parameters of parenting. We just say, hey, the kids is fed, they good. They good, they got everything they need, they got everything we want. You know what I mean? They got it all. Do they really have it all? Or are they getting too much of one thing and not enough of another? Because absolutely. It seems like that we're coming back to the morals a lot more, especially I feel like a lot of the parents of my generation is more so of my kid got name brand, my kid got the newest, freshest, they go on all these different vacations, but then you turn around and the child isn't progressing in school, academically. Bringing home C's, D's, and E's and F's. They you don't like necessarily you don't necessarily like the friends that they keep or the company that they keep, but you don't say nothing because, hey, well, they're happy. Right. I feel like the other issue that ties into that is too many of the parents of my age want to be their child's friend. There we go. They want to be the friend. I'm glad you said that, because I understand, like, when your child is young, you'll dress them up colorfully, you'll dress them up in an outfit that mimics yours and everything like that when they're a kid. I see a lot of parents. Who keeps cutting in here? Everybody keeps cutting in here. I got to keep cutting people out. I see parents have rights, yes. I see a lot of parents that really go out of their way to be their child's best friend. Yes. I my style with and this is with all of my children. I told them that they can speak to me, but remember who you're speaking to. Right. Okay. remember that I'm still your father, okay? And speak to me with a certain respect. You know that you can say what you want to say.
Yeah.
But understand you're not going to say it how you want to say it.
Right.
Okay, because I'm not your homeboy. I'm not your homegirl.
Yeah.
You know, check that. I mean, I
think that's the issue I have with my oldest. You know, is like, you know, it's the whole thing of, well, you said I can say how I feel. Right. You can say how you feel, but the manner or your tone in which you're saying it, or, you know, you're not going to cuss at me.
I mean, like I hear a lot of kids talking real greasy to their parents, like they owe them money. I don't understand where's the disconnect of how a child can talk to an adult, especially the one they gave birth to you, and the one that planted the seed for you to be here. Like, I'm not saying that you gotta bow down and kowtow and but I see a lot of kids that, you know, I think I raised my voice at my mom once, and I've always had battles with my dad because, you know, we're men. But I think I've raised my voice at my mother once. And I don't ever remember raising my voice to my grandmother. Either one of my grandmothers.
We're talking like as a kid, like
as an adult.
Oh, see, I was gonna say I never raised my voice at you. No, we've had our moments.
I've raised my voice as a teenager with my mom. I know that, but I'm talking about even as an adult. If I disagree with my mom, I still remember that that's my mom, and I had to eat that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I just wouldn't call her for a couple of days. You know what I mean? But I would eat that. I would be like, I would never think about cussing my mother out. You know what I mean? Listen, we're different. And I get it, in different age, but this is the parent trap. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's on me too. How do I feel about how my children have responded to me over the years?
Well, I mean,
and listen. I mean, yeah.
I mean, we've
had battles.
We've had our
we had battles.
Yeah,
we had battles. Yeah. But I think that these.
But I think it made us better. Honestly, I do. Okay. So, do I wish that things could have been hashed out differently? Or the situation would have been handled differently? Absolutely, right? Because a lot of that, it was a point where we did not talk, or like at all.
Again, I think that a lot of this, again, with the parent trap is that a lot of things that I was unprepared for as a father, being you know, being a single dad with you, as far as raising you specifically. I had no guidebook. I had no like nobody to tell me how to raise a girl. You know what I mean? I mean, like raise a child, one thing, raise a girl, you know, and gaining custody of you, everything was a new experience. So I know that a lot of times that, like, you would see different parenting styles with your uncles and your aunts and everything like that, and, you know, where you came from with your mom. And then I was just a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, you know, clockwork, got to be on time.
Yeah. Make
sure everything neat folded. Like, you know, but that I'm a product of my father being military. So I don't know anything different, thank God. I don't. Like my clothes are hung up to this day, folded, hung up, shoe racks. Oh no, I don't mess around. You will not find my clothes in a bag anywhere. I promise. But I mean, that's just a different type. Like this conversation about parenting, I believe, needs to be held in every household. I think that we as an older generation shouldn't take what you guys are going through for granted. Yeah. And that the current situations that you guys are in, I
think a lot of my generation suffers from the I got it mentality right now. Where is this thing of maybe.
What do you mean by I got it? What do you mean by I got it?
I think it's more so of feeling like,
I'm not going to go and ask nobody for help. I'm not asking for help. I got it. I can do it. I know what I'm doing. I got it. Whereas though, if they did have someone, from the previous generation that had that positive or that, knowledge of, hey, I'm not telling you how to do it, but this looks like the hard way. Let me just show you. The same way you've told me before, right? Hey, Niche, you're doing too much. You're doing it the hard way. Why don't you just try this approach? Not saying, oh, you're doing it wrong, right? Because immediately, right, as any parent, once you're told you're doing something wrong as a parent, you kind of, I don't want to hear nothing. Defensive. Yeah, I don't want to hear nothing else you got to say now, because you don't know.
How you gonna tell me how to raise my kids? You ain't do a good job.
Okay, where yours at? Huh? But I absolutely feel like if it's brought up, like, hey, you know what? I had a similar situation like this. This may be the best option. Or hell, sometimes the older generation, y'all be knowing resources that we don't know, because once again, a lot of stuff isn't advertised or pushed to us until the moment that it's like a dire need.
Right, dire straits. So, and I think that's what happens in your generation. Our generation was a generation of preparedness. Okay, we kind of anticipated things, because some of these things were generational, and we'll get into generational curses in a minute. But we were kind of like, I wouldn't say sequestered or shielded from certain things. It's just that it was, no, that's taboo.
Yeah.
No, that's taboo. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't do this. And I think that in this generation, it's a fine line between what's taboo and what's not. Like, people kind of teeter on the edge of hey, can I push the envelope with this? Can I put, and not realizing that the reason why that there were gates put up is because these things do not benefit you whatsoever. Even if society has pushed a narrative, especially in Black families.
Yes.
Okay. I have a lot of people who follow me on my page and follow me all across Delco have always said this to me: Rich, one of the most worst things that the American government has ever done is taken the Black father out of the household. And this comes from whites, this comes from Asians, this comes from every demographic, Hispanics, everybody that's up and down my timeline has said this to me once, maybe twice, or 1,000 times, and they are absolutely correct. I think that the continued breakdown of the dynamic of the father not being part of the family dynamic, whether you're with the father of your child, whether it's your husband, whether it's the baby daddy or whatever, I think that there has to be some type of happy medium of where the father is involved.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times, and this is the parent trap. Certain parents stay away from their kids, and certain parents got kept from their children. And in this parent trap, so when you grow up and you're only getting one side of the story, oh, your daddy wasn't shit, he ain't want you, and you see he don't call and everything like that. We see this in a lot of communities.
Yeah.
Like, now social media has made it evident that everybody of every shade,
it's not just
every shade of wheat
issue.
It's not a black issue. It's not a red issue. It's shades of wheat. We all go through this dynamic, and I think that part of the issue of where we need to be as a collective society is that we need to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that I work with. Shout out to Recovery Without Barriers. Shout out to, American Legion Post 214. Shout out to Grand Stepping Up. Shout out to Harvest Porch. There's a lot of people that are helping a lot of grandparents, parents, and they're all grassroots. They're all nonprofits that aren't involved with the government. And they're making, I believe, that they actually make more progress than the government programs. But a lot of times, a lot of people want to push, oh, the government owes us something. They owe us. What do they owe us as parents? We decided to have children.
Right.
We decided to bring a life onto this planet. We decided to, nurture and love, and we understood the responsibility because we were taken care of as children ourselves. We understood the assignment of, hey, you got to feed it. You got to clothe it.
You got to feed it, water it.
You got to feed it, water it. You got
give it sunlight.
You got to change it. You got to do all of that.
Yeah.
Where do we start to have the mental preparation in the youth underneath you, the children underneath you, to say, hey, listen, it's a challenge to being a parent. Don't become one so soon.
Oh, I give that speech all the time, not just to my kids, to younger cousins that's like in their 20s. I have a cousin in college right now, and I tell her every day, live your fucking life. There's no rush. I understand that society says, oh, you're supposed to get married and settle down and build a family and all that stuff. Yeah, you want something left of you in this world. Why? And at this point, you know what I mean? Like, live your life. Travel, if that's what you're going to do. Because guess what? Once you have that kid, you can't blame the kid now that you can't afford to go to the Bahamas or the DR and all that stuff like that because you mad because you got a C-section and your bikini line don't look the same the way it does anymore, or you mad because the baby dad didn't stick around, or hey, you mad because your baby mom turned out to be a bum. Now you're mad and you're taking it out on the child, but guess what? Those are all of the factors that I tell people now. Are you sure? Look into everything because guess what? Like even what my grandmother used to tell me all the time, know who you're having a child with. Mental, emotional history, genetics plays a huge part in that because
say it again. Know
who you're having a child with.
As in you want a background check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and at this point,
If you don't know, you're gonna find out.
yeah.
And then you're stuck because you got a kid.
Right.
You got the kid already. And now it's not only the crazy, partner or the parent that you have to worry about. Now you got to worry about, holy shit, is this shit going to manifest in my kid too? And you have to keep an eye on that stuff for the rest of your life now because now you don't know. Right. So absolutely, I tell people, if it's just something, I just think it's so cute and get to buy them little outfits, start out with a dog. You get a little puppy. Dress up a puppy. If you can take care of a puppy, you probably still can't take care of a kid. Because guess what? That puppy is not going to be around as long as the child is, and there's more financial responsibility having a child. You want something that's fun it's so cute, and I can take it with little pictures. Get a dog. That's not what a child is for. If you saying that you want to have a child, don't try to hold on to somebody. No, that's not how things work. I'm telling you right now, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And sadly, a lot of stories end tragically for the child because you tried to use another human being as a pawn. And now that you feel trapped, because that person didn't want nothing to do with you and this child, now you feel trapped. Now you're, I don't got no way out. And so now the child suffers, emotionally, mentally, physically sometimes. And it starts to fall into just a habit of, okay, well, this is what happened to me when I was a kid. My mom didn't love me. My dad didn't love me. And then when they have kids now, so what, they're going to do the same thing. And this is what we were talking about with generational curses.
Yes. Generational curses, because, in typical families, there's trauma. There's been abuse, there's been sexual abuse. There's been, I've been around a lot of friends that sometimes couldn't go home, because of certain things. And, there's been experiences, for people and family members that I know. Where I sit with generational curses is that they were addressed to me by my dad and explained to me what they are. And to me, in my opinion, how my dad explained to me, generational curses are the residual evils that trickle down from a traumatic experience that our family felt from the days of our enslavement and the perilous times that women and men had to do desperate things in order to save the lives of their children.
Right.
Okay. Now, that's not specific to one group. I'm just using this as our example as Black Americans living in America, where history has recorded that these atrocities have contributed to the trauma of generations of people, especially the continued trauma by a government body that continually to perpetuate pain in Black families specifically. They did it to Jews, they did it to Blacks, they did it to the Indians, they did it to Japanese, they did it to every group, but they just had this love to keep coming back to the Black community. Say, wait a minute, y'all ain't die yet. But how my dad explained generational curses is that this is residual evil. And that these residual evils have to be conquered and that they have to be abolished by the next generation through an understanding of what they are, identify them, and then 2, execute them.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times with generational curses is that folks hold on and harbor these things that have happened in family for so long, and they use it as a crutch. They use it in victimization situations. They use it as a weapon. They weaponize it against the person, whether it's in the past or whether it's to the future. I've seen people that have used things that have happened to them and the abuses that have happened to them, and they put it on their children, and their children have suffered from it. What do you think that from, say, the times of my time and the things that I had to help get you past, what are some of the things that you think in your new parenthood that you still think is a residual effect from generations, say, come from me and, your grandfather or anything like that?
One thing I noticed for me is I tend to, I try to be very careful, right, with when it comes to my disciplining. Only because of what I went through and the excuse that was given to me of, well, this is what happened to me, So it does sometimes, and I do see it kind of as like I don't want to say, I don't want to say necessarily like a crutch or nothing, right? Because I don't want to keep saying, well, I don't do certain things because of what I went through, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
we do certain things because of what we went through, the experience.
Yeah, so, sometimes I'll question, like, okay, well, after the fact, right? Like, dang, did I have to yell at them like that? Did I say it, in a hateful way? I know I'm angry. I know I'm upset with them, but
see, when I yelled at you, I didn't care. I had no regrets. You got on my nerves. And I mean, I'm serious. I mean, like, listen, if I had to yell at my children, it's because you bought that. For real. Like,
so listen, like I said, I ask myself the question. That doesn't mean I go and say I'm sorry.
See, I don't even ask myself that question. Listen, you did something, boom. Right. And I already told you before.
So I guess my reason for that is, right, because not you, but my other parental unit, it was always yelling. It was always yelling. The first thing was yelling. And I noticed as I got older that people yelling was like a trigger to me. It made me feel uneasy, unsafe, right? And it was the small things that I was just like, oh my gosh, like, so what, like, I can't, once I got, diagnosed with anxiety and PTSD, and it was just like, I don't want this to keep being a thing for me. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm coming to a room, people yelling, now I'm all upset because like, what's going on? When you have gone through trauma, you can go into a room and fill out people's
auras,
their attitude, their manner, like just everything about them. You read. It's like the Terminator walking into a room and just scanning everybody and getting all of their information.
Right.
Because you're really like, okay, who am I safe with and who do I have to watch out for?
Right.
Because when you grow up in a structure like that, it does do something to the psyche of, okay, if people are yelling or if they're talking like that at me, they're upset with me. And it does make you feel internally a certain way. But I absolutely feel like even when it comes to the amount of conversations I do have with my kids, I learned that from you. It was a lot of stuff that I'm pretty sure I came to you just talking nonsensical things to you about just my everyday teenage, preteen life or whatever. And
well, I'm gonna tell you for me, I know that I got to talk to my mom about things that bothered me growing up, but it really wasn't a like. I didn't get the lectures. I really didn't get lectured to by my dad. I got prayers.
oh, you gave lectures.
No, yes, I gave lectures.
Gave lectures.
Yes, I did.
Sometimes the lectures used to go on for so long. I was like, just beat me. Just give me the beating. I'll take it at this point.
no.
It's 2 hours in, sir. I want to go to bed now. I'm tired. I'm sorry.
But I mean, and like for me, you like you said that you went through trauma through a parental unit. My trauma was through a step parent. And one of the things that I said was because of that experience that I would never be that type of parent. That's what I actively said that I was going to break. I was going to break that because I knew what happened to me. I knew why it happened to me. I knew that this person was a hateful person, that he was an abuser, that all of us, got hit on, punched on, or whatever. It wasn't anything. It could be for nothing. Mm-hmm. It could. I remember I dropped a grade to a C. I got clocked. I mean, like in an Asian family, that's normal. What?
Yeah.
I mean, listen. No, listen. Anybody finds that comment to be off color? Trust me when I say this. I have plenty of Asian friends. Let them drop a grade, and I promise you, they're getting their ass kicked. But yeah, I mean, like it was stuff like that. But then, when I became a father, I made it my decision to not carry anything that was harmful from my teenage years into you guys' lives. Yeah. And one of those things was like at the time with childcare, we talked that at the top of the show. Mm-hmm. The reason why I had you, the reason why I kept you guys is because at that time, anybody was watching anybody's kid. Yeah. And it was like a whole bunch of horror stories during that time. I know that there's deeper standards now. You still have to do your research because, you still have some predators
children
out
dying
there.
Off from fentanyl,
and everything like that. You still in Delaware County, they just had a guy that was at a daycare and his mother's daycare and, over 80 counts. Yeah. Over 80 counts on this dude. Yeah. So I was the type of person where I was like, you know what? I work nights.
Right.
I don't have to be at work till 6:00. Why am I sending my kids to daycare?
Yeah.
Why
and I think that's part of the reason why I too kind of took that same stance on it. Not just because of my own sexual abuse as a child. It was just once my kids hit a certain age, besides the youngest one, it was almost like as a mom and just as someone who had, been sexually abused when they were younger, it was something it was like a small victory. I'm gonna say this, when my kids went past the age of the age I was from my sexual abuse. Right. I don't know.
It was kind of like you were trying to make sure that there were certain points that were crossed, so that way you won't have to worry.
I think that was
about
part of one of my generational curses. I
Right.
felt like I had to, because I had not just me, I had stories from family members of this is the age range of when they were sexually assaulted.
They were sexually assaulted, and this happens in a lot of families where these conversations are withheld. And again, that's a trap.
Yeah.
Because if we're not going back to those my age and my age group and having these things explained, they're not realizing that these things got passed forward and they continue to move forward because
Right.
we haven't dealt with them from the past.
Right.
And a lot of people in my age group, again, are still either ashamed or have a fear that they're going to be looked upon differently for expressing that they went through trauma.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you guys, one of the most refreshing things and the most important things that I ever did throughout this whole process, and that's from a lot of you guys, I asked for help. I asked for help. And in asking for that help, it helped me deal with the things that I needed to deal with. And then having this show and this program, Parent Trap, because this was something I was thinking about with, the seventh kid, the wonder kid, seventh one, to have these things brought out from a viewpoint of, I raised you as a baby. I raised you as a child. I raised you as a teenager, and now I'm sitting here respecting you.
You're raising me as an adult.
I'm respecting you as an adult. I'm learning some things, by watching and observing. But I just want to make sure that we still have that generational connection of high value and morals as we push forward. Past me, and once you take my place and someone takes your place, that the same moral value of our family, no matter what the new nuances are, no matter what government society is that we do stick to those three principles.
Right.
Okay. So I think that'll do it
Yeah,
for
we're
the
gonna
first
wrap it up,
inaugural
man.
show. We have to get Mom back home to her brood.
It's still a school night.
It's still a school night.
So thank you guys so much. First time doing something like this, and I really enjoyed it.
We'll think of some other stuff for you to come up with.
Yeah.
And again, CMP's already invited you, to come and do your own thing. I might have to sit out in the parking lot like I normally do with all these other shows.
I mean, we never know, right? We never
Right.
know. Clear some space. I can show y'all a little shine.
And shout out to the city of Chester. Shout out to everybody out there in Delco.
Woo-hoo.
Shout out to everybody that's watching and viewing us at home. Again, the wonderful wide world of Rich Blye. CMPradio.net, the voice of Chester, soon to be the voice of Delco. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. sharp, you will get a brand new subject matter next week, and you will be getting some surprise guests because I want to bring folks up here to this station so we can get you guys to spread CMPradio.net and extend it past Chester. Let's talk about issues all across Delco as it affects all of us. Yeah. You got something funny you want to do? Come on with it. You got a topic that you want to give me? Come on with it. This radio station stands for the community. It stands for the people, and it stands for you, the listening audience out of there. We appreciate you so much. And as I say, every time that I leave you guys, I'll see you on the flip side.
Bye.